So here in July 2022, we continue to test the court system with liability involved in COVID outbreaks, spreading COVID, and also to a lesser extent the measures that we take for COVID, right? A lot of workplaces are still dealing with human rights issues on that. I thought I would talk about a couple times in my life when I thought about filing a frivolous lawsuit just to get some attention on something, right? Maybe not winnable, but to because of something annoying in my life. So I used to shop on Craigslist a lot back in the day before it became as toxic as it is now. I mean, it's always been bad, but it's impossible these days. There's just way too much spam. But I would want to look for something and I would go low to high on the price. But unfortunately, a lot of people enter $1, right? And it made me wonder if I could force them to sell it for $1, right? I would look for silver coins and they would be listed for $1. Obviously, then the description would talk about a different price. But it made me wonder what would happen if I sue them to get them to sell them to me for $1, right? I was almost tempted to do that because that's something you could probably take to small claims court, and if anything, it would hassle them enough to get them to think about never doing that again, right? And maybe to warn their friends, hey, don't list things for $1, right? It's more of an attention getter, right? I almost thought about that, by the way. Of course, then you need to get their details to sue them, which means you probably have to contact them at some point and agree to meet up, but then you probably would have to agree to a different price, right? So that's a tricky situation there, right? Now, a lot of times, this was more common back in the day. I was living in Rochester, New York, and we had a Walmart that was kind of low-tech, right? Not the super centers that you see here. And they would often get the price tags wrong. Now, what's really annoying is that, if I remember correctly, I had a favorite brand of iced tea, and they kept scanning wrong. I would have to go to customer service every fucking time I went to Walmart to get the price straightened out. And it became really annoying because in my mind, even though that tea was, let's say it was $1.50, I can't remember the exact numbers, it was scanning as $3. In my mind, it might as well have said $3 with an asterisk. If you're willing to waste time hassling with customer service, you might be able to get it for $1.50, right? That's what I saw in my mind, because you had to hassle them every fucking time you bought it, right? At the time I was living in a small apartment, it was not like I could just buy 20 of them at one go, right? And deal with it one time. And they never bothered fixing it. And I almost thought about suing them, right? That one I might have been able to get somewhere with it, right? Because Walmart doesn't want to deal with the hassles of that, right? But anyway, those two had some legitimate reasons, right? But I've also thought about other nonsense that I could potentially get some attention for. 6 years ago, I was at a Computer Olympiad conference, and there was a girl that I liked at the conference, and to my surprise, she started the first conversation with me, and I got really excited. But my excitement quickly disappeared when I saw her outside of her building smoking a cigarette. I would never date a smoker. And my first thought was I gotta sue the tobacco industry for destroying what would otherwise be a perfect match for me, right? If I had the time and money, I'd probably do it just to get attention on the harms of tobacco in our society. I don't know. It might cost me a fortune, though, because I'm sure they would countersue me. But it's something that I would definitely want word out there, right? I don't know if I would look bad, though. I don't know. It's one of those things that you have more money, you just have more problems, right? You want to deal with all this nonsense, right? Now, 8 years ago, when I first started living out of my car, I wasn't so sure about the logistics of it. And my big fear was that my car would be towed in the middle of the night while I was sleeping. I would wake up in a tow yard. And so I did some reading about it, and to my relief, I discovered that it was illegal to tow a car with somebody inside, right? Which is a good thing. I didn't know at the time, right? I was naive, and it was my first time living in my car, and I just had some big reservations about it, right? But then I thought, if I did get towed, maybe I could sue the tow yard for good money, right? Even if I only went to small claims court and sued them for the maximum there, that's not bad for a night of towing, right? And it'd be a fun experience as well. And so my first couple of months living out of the car, I made it a habit of making myself disappear behind the back seats, and nobody would see me, and they might tow me, right? Especially if I parked somewhere that I really shouldn't be parking, which is usually the nicer places anyway, right? And I had dreams of just waking up in the tow yard and collecting $5,000-$10,000. Not bad, right, for a night's work, right? But I also had reservations because I've had my car broken into a couple of times when I've been parked. And I had reservations of people breaking into my car in the middle of the night as well. But I actually got to know a few other people who also live in their cars. And they told me that would never happen. And the reason for that is that these criminals have some common sense too, right? They don't want to risk getting any additional criminal charges that they don't need to risk, right? If they break into a car with somebody occupied in it, it's apparently a much more serious crime than an unoccupied car when there's a dozen other cars they can break into that's not occupied, right? I never realized criminals had logic, but that's what these other people were telling me, and my own experience bears it out, right? I've had my car broken into on 2 occasions when I wasn't in the car, never when I was sleeping in it, no matter where I slept, right? Anyway, so I have thought about frivolous lawsuits in the past. Mostly, you know, if I ever file a lawsuit like this, it's not necessarily because I want to get money out of it, but more to raise awareness of something, right?